This video is one of a three-part series showing you the principles and techniques I use to make a visually engaging and effective flyer that's also print ready. This video covers an overview for setting up for print and best design practices. If you want to skip to how to design a flyer in Photoshop or Illustrator, please use the available links here or listed below. In this section I'm not going to get into the technicalities for Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, but give a brief overview of setting up for print. So before you do anything, you need to create the correct size canvas. In this case I'm designing a single-sided portrait A5 flyer, which is 148mm wide by 210mm high. We have our handy support guides on our website. I'll put a link below and that will help you with document sizes. The next thing to do is to add 3mm bleed to every edge of your flyer design. Now all these areas will be printed and then trimmed off. So anything in your design that's going to the edge of the page needs to continue for that extra 3mm. So when it's trimmed off, you're going to be left with a nice image right to the edge of the flyer. If you didn't have that bleed and the cut was slightly off, you could be left with a very thin, unsightly white line at the edge of your flyer. The next thing to make sure you do is to set the colour mode for your design to CMYK. Now this is crucial, because if you designed a flyer in RGB, for example, you're not going to achieve the same colours when that job goes to print. In this example shown here, particularly neon blues and pinks will just not print, they almost disappear. So it's best to design in CMYK so you get a much better idea of the finished print you're going to get. Design approach. So what is a flyer's purpose? Before you even start designing, you have to make sure you have a very clear idea of the job this flyer has to do. What is the message it has to deliver, and what action does a person have to take that's reading the flyer? Consider the space you've got. It's very tempting to tell your potential customers about everything your business does whilst you're going to the trouble of making a leaflet. But that is often to the detriment of the way the flyer looks and performs. Too much info can look like clutter and would often result, I imagine, in a discarded flyer. Better to have one or two appealing messages that grab people's attention and point people in the direction to a website or social channel where they can pick up a lot more information if they want it. Once you've gathered all the information you need to go on the flyer, it's time to start placing the elements onto the page. Now at this stage, I don't worry about fonts, cutting out the image, any of that stuff. The main aim at this stage is to gain a hierarchy of the messages on the flyer, where you want people's eyes to go first, and that sense of space. This is the most important stage of designing a flyer. If you can get this to work, then the rest of the design will come together so easily. If it doesn't work at this stage, you're going to be forcing it right through to the end. If it's not working now, you need to probably change something. You might have to look at a new image or possibly cutting down the amount of copy you've got on the flyer. So now you're in a good place. You've got the message you want to deliver, you've got the elements you need, you've got a very good idea that that's going to work on the size flyer you've got. So now it's time to start finessing the design. Now, whichever brand the flyer is for, they will have a look or a brand guidelines to follow. Brand guidelines will tell you what fonts to use, colours, rules for using the company logo. If you haven't got brand guidelines to work with, then it becomes your role as the designer to create your own rules to make the flyer look good. So at this stage you can create a colour palette for your flyer. Now you may only have the company's logo as a clue to the company's branding. So you could colour pick the colours from the logo, and then you can use Adobe's colour guide to pick complementing colours, or there are online tools as well for doing that. And as a general rule, I try and keep to a limited colour palette. It just has a slicker look. If you can keep it to 3 or 4 colours, possibly 5, and of course it depends on the branding, I find you get a better result. So now it's time to pick your fonts, and again, use the logo as a starting point. If you can match the font in the logo, if that works well for headers, then that's great. and then try to use fonts that complement that kind of header text or logo text. Definitely don't pick something similar that's not quite the same, because that could really clash visually and look quite unprofessional. Also, try to choose fonts that match your brand's personality. It's a bit of an extreme example, but you wouldn't use Comic Sans if you were designing a flyer for a traditional undertaker. When choosing your fonts, it's worth finding font families that come in a wide range of weights and italics. Varying the weight of key words in a paragraph can do wonders for making a body of text more palatable. For font sizes, as a general rule, don't go under 9 point for paragraph text, and if you need a bit of small text on there, try not to go below 6 point. For your images, you want good quality. Ideally, you want 300 dpi quality for print at the physical size you want to use it, but you can get a good idea just by zooming into an image, and if you're seeing pixels, don't use it. Equally, don't go too far the other way. If you're using ginormous images that carry a huge file size, it will really slow down the program you're working in, and also it can cause quite a few problems later on when you go to print. I know I've mentioned space already, but I think space is just as important a design tool as images, fonts and colour. Don't feel the urge to fill a gap just because it's there. Space helps make your flyer easier on the eye and adds clear distinction between messages. Look again at these two examples of the cluttered flyer and the flyer that's got more space. Now I want you to think about how your eye travels through the design that's got more space. First, I see that image of the cat, and then I'm reading the headline, so I know what's on offer here. And then I slowly digest the other parts of the flyer. And then if you look at the other flyer, my eyes are going all over the place and actually not stopping to digest anything. I think I'm searching to get the main message, and I find it really difficult to look at. The last bit about the design is, if you can, is to add little touches of professionalism, little interactions between the different design elements, things that make all the elements combine as one, and that can really help. Just look at the example here. Just by adding a little bit of drop shadow on the cat's paws, I think just gives so much more of a professional look, whereas if you compare it to the other version, it just looks a bit cut out. It's not quite in the design. Hope that's been helpful. Don't forget to check out the other two videos in the series, and we'll see you for the next one.